Hello people, what is going on? Welcome back to the channel. This is Sorin and today we're going to take a look at the BZ-58-2. The new upcoming tier 9 reward vehicle for completing the battle pass. This is going to be 24 tokens, so therefore I'm going to make the video whether you should buy it or whether you should avoid it. So let's go right ahead and watch the wargaming video because they made a really nice video with
the first in
obviously
line,
with the tank.
and the first on the front line is the Tier 9 Chinese BZ-58-2 heavy tank.
Looks like
it's a comfortable heavy tank that doesn't claim to be the best, and you'll realize that as soon as you move. The BZ has a classic top speed for a sturdy heavy tank, 35 kilometers per hour.
It gets you from point A to point B, that's fine.
Comrades. At the same time, the tank is quite massive and armored by all the cannons of heavy vehicles. The upper glacis has 70 millimeters of armor at an excellent slope. The same is true of the sides.
I love how Wargaming makes like 70 meters of armor, say that is like really good, but there are tanks in tier 9 like the Mauerbrecher, or not, actually not the Mauerbrecher, yes, the Mauerbrecher, not the Mauer, what's it called, the Motion? Yes, the Motion that has like 260 or 200 in the front. So yeah, 70 meters, because it's slow, obviously, it's good, but Wargaming is like, oh, it's so thick.
May not sound particularly strong, but the armor doesn't disappoint on the battlefield. And with its turret, the BZ can easily laugh off any opponent. It's big, cast, and has a practical shape. Speaking of numbers, we get 380 millimeters of effective armor in certain spots. But as with any classic heavy tank, the BZ has a few classic vulnerabilities. Its lower...
Most of the heavy tank turrets in 2023 should be, how to say, like hold down kings, but obviously it's balanced. It has like the lower plate that is easy to penetrate by the tier 7s and tier 8s and tier 9s that it meets, and also the cupola for playing on a hold down.
Glacis and
so the tank is fair and balanced. That's actually really nice.
The former, although huge, is not hard to hide. To do so, find embankments or side scrape.
Ooh. And imagine being able to spawn things like you're driving in the middle of the field on Prokhorovka, and out of nowhere it's like you press a button and just make a house in front of it. That'll be crazy.
Cupolas, you'll need to play smart. The easiest option is to move your hull rhythmically so that the enemy can't properly aim at them. Or you can find suitable terrain. The BZ has a pretty good gun depression angle, -8 degrees.
That's actually decent.
When it starts playing on uneven terrain, the enemy might not even discover that its turret has weak spots. Uneven terrain.
Wait, Luis, when wargamings are featuring a tank, it's showing like higher rolls. Like I think this tank has like 530 alpha damage, and it's in the video is rolling for like 700 or 650.
Enemy might not even discover that its turret has weak spots. In other situations, when the cupolas are visible, opponents will need to aim at them carefully, which plays into the BZ's hands.
Looks like it's a beast.
While they're aiming, the BZ bites, and it bites hard and constantly.
Oh,
the 130 millimeter gun literally cuts 520 hit points off the enemy. It gets especially serious when this tank has all the bells and whistles.
Ooh. I mean, 510 for a heavy tank is comfortable.
In situations where everything favors trading hit points, the BZ can easily do so. That's due not only to its alpha damage, but also to its...
So, the relative is part with ST1, the MX MLE, the 257, and the Tech Trigger, and actually the TNH. So yeah, this tank is pretty much like right in the middle, has the right amount of hit points. And yeah, what can I say? That's actually really nice.
Which it has plenty, not to stay at the rear, but fight the opponents head on. The most important thing in such duels is to penetrate.
Okay, there we go. If you check yourself from a cliff, you get your first mark of excellence. That's actually
not
nice.
An option, and penetration might not be enough. You always need to aim. This is where the BZ's greatest accuracy will help. Its value is good, even without the crew and consumables. When you add all the necessities, it gets even better.
I mean, that gun handling is like average.
You should equip this tank in a way that highlights its advantages. For example, improved hardening in its respective slot to survive on the front line, turbocharger to reach positions and roll back swiftly after your shot, and gun rammer in the final slot to cause damage more quickly. In the second configuration, replace turbocharger with vertical stabilizer and shoot comfortably.
Personally, I will not use the improved hardening in this situation. I will use the turbocharger, the vertical stabilizer, and the rammer. And hear me out on this one, because it's like 190 extra hit points are not gonna really help you, but the mobility to get out of a situation where a flank has how say has fallen is much better. It will help you to survive more using the turbocharger than actually the hardening itself. So it's give or take in this
At
one.
various targets. Regarding consumables, it's
There you
not
go.
that
If you equip it, it's
straightforward.
your second mark of
Repair
excellence.
kit and first aid kit are must-haves, but you better put fire extinguisher in the third slot. The BZ can be set ablaze with just a single shot in its lower glacis. But if you still decide to use improved combat rations, you should first replace hardening with modified configuration, or take care of fire safety with the help of a skill or directive. The BZ-58-2 is a front and center tank. Its place is always on the front line, always in the thick of battle. Due to a number of options for positional play, you'll always be prepared for the unexpected in random battles.
There you go.
That's what the
Summon,
BZ impresses with: simplicity and efficiency.
All right,
What can be
fair
better?
enough. So yeah, it
Perhaps
is indeed a simple vehicle, and it's quite efficient if you use its roll to maximum. And this is our video for today. We are not gonna go into the Panzer III, but instead we are gonna go to the obviously the tank GG to convert the vehicle. So the vehicle itself, it's a typical heavy tank. It doesn't have the auto loader that makes this tank unique. It doesn't have the rockets as the electric counterpart does. But what you have is pretty much like a 50 TP into a Chinese skin or something like that, but with a better gun handling, with slightly touch to the mobility, I think. Yes. So 250 penetration is the same as the 50 TP. The same goes with the gold rounds. This time gets 303, the same as the 50 TP, and 60 on 660 on the HE rounds. The 50 TP goes gets a higher alpha damage of 560. It's also better DPM, and the HE rounds go up to 700 damage. That is actually really decent indeed. The STI, I put it this time to compare it because this is one of my favorite tier 9 heavy tank. It does have the armor, it does the job pretty decent. So yeah, compared to this vehicle, obviously the alpha damage is much better. It's like one of the highest alpha damage among tier 9s, which is quite good. The caliber 130mm means you can overmatch some 40mm plates. Actually, most of the 40mm plates, but 45 nope. The gun handling, it's okay. Okay, talking about the ammo capacity 30, it's kind of in the middle of enough and too much. Because I believe you can take like 3 HEs rounds for grill, FV, and something like that. But STI is just more comfortable. You can take more HE rounds, but obviously it doesn't deal much more damage the 122mm HE round. The gun handling. Aiming time 2.88, it's much better than the ST2, even though it does have a smaller caliber. The dispersion is sniper accurate compared to the other two vehicles, and obviously the gun handling is much better. The depression, sorry, it's 8 degrees, which is really comfortable for a heavy tank. The top speed is 35 kilometers, same as the 50 TP. As I mentioned, it's pretty much the same tank. And the reverse speed is 1 kilometer an hour faster, respectively 2 kilometer an hour faster than the ST2. Funnily enough, this vehicle is because has such good ground resistances. It's much faster on medium terrain than the STI, which is funny. And the same goes to the swamp area. It's like you can go 26 kilometer an hour, and the 250 TP barely can go 20, and the ST is just gonna go 15 kilometer, which is impressive indeed. Next, the armor and health. 230, the turret. Well, on paper it doesn't look like it's the most, but because it's angled, because it's sloped, it's much better for its survivability. But personally, I prefer the ST1 as a Tech 3 variant because I don't know, it's just the armor feels so great on that vehicle, and the same goes on the 50 TP. Having 120 in the on the upper plate, it's better. Even though the 50 TP armor is less durable because you have this hatch over here, but the lower plate is like 205 to 7 millimeter, whereas the BZ armor it's mostly like 120. Yeah, 110, 120, which mean mostly of the HE rounds in the higher tier are gonna penetrate you frontally, and that is not good. It's like Tortoise Haze can penetrate you frontally if it rolls high. The same, the cupola pretty much. It's like if you use the gun depression, the cupolas are small and hard to hit, but that's only when you play on a ridge line as well. The side itself, it's a really nice angle, and it has this flap over here, which it might become a weak point, but it's really hard to hit, so I don't really count this as a weak point indeed. But other than that, the turret looks really strong. Over here is like 200 millimeter, 250, so you can go through APCRs through the turret itself, also with the ring. So yeah, this tank has some slight weaknesses, but we don't want anything overpowered in the game anymore, isn't it? Next to the hit points, 1907 as the ST, and 2000 for the 50p, just tiny touch better. Just tiny touch. Funnily, of the repair time it's faster than the tech repair. I don't know how track time repair it's counted, but I don't know. I need to do some research on that and make a video because that's actually a really interesting thing to see. And 380 meters V range to boot. Fire chance is 12%, which is much better than the compared vehicle. And it's funny how Wargame in the video say that this tank it's smoking a lot, it's catching fire a lot, but with 12%, it doesn't look like if you put the firefighter crew indeed into it, it's gonna be much less. So yeah, quite interesting little tier tier 9. Now comes the question: is this tank really worth your tokens? I was supposed to say bonds, but this is for tokens. 24 tokens. That is a lot. You have to complete, I believe, all stages with a premium pass for 7,500 gold to manage to get this tank in less than 3 months. But personally, it's a bit expensive. And well, now here is the point: the vehicle is balanced. The vehicle doesn't have any key weaknesses, any key strengths and weaknesses. The tank is really flat out, all right. And what I mean by that? We don't want any overpowered tanks in the game because that is gonna make the player unhappy, the player base unhappy. But at the same time, there are people that will manage to get this vehicle and they'll be unhappy because the tank is trash, let's say. But here is like the main deal because obviously you're spending your time to complete the battle pass and you get this. Some people might not even want it. Some people will say that they go scam. Some people that say this tank will underperform. So how to say it? It's really hard to make something right for everyone. But personally, for me, there are better vehicles out there which you can get. If you already haven't finished the battle pass, you can get the A phase 1. You can get the Cobra, which is oh no, the Cobra, the Panzer, the Kunza Panzer, or anything that you don't really need, or that actually you don't really need, but you no, actually, what you don't have, but you really need. But that was what I was trying to say. But this tank being 24 and the other tank being 27, they're a bit expensive, you know. But I expect in 2 months, in 2 chapters time, this tank is gonna go to roughly 18 tokens. So maybe it's worth waiting for actually feedback on this vehicle by the people who actually bought it, and investing your heart and tokens into equipment, because now there is bounty shell resistance, there is bounty everything, and obviously for those tokens can get much better deals for yourself. So without further ado, this was the video. This was BZ-58, uh, 50 TP from Wish, I suppose to say. So yeah, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you legends in the next one. Bye bye.